Space, the final frontier.
Blue skies smiling at me, nothing but blue skies do I see. Never saw the sun shining so bright, never saw things going so right.
Let's see what's out there. Engage.
Hello and good evening. Star Trek The Next Generations, Season 1, Episode 7, Lonely Among Us is over, and it has been since 1987, but we're just getting started here in 2024 on Live Long and Podcast for our live stream review of this episode. We're going to talk all about it, everything we liked, didn't like, and then we're going to cap it off with a rating at the end. I'm Dave Mader, and I'm joined with a great panel here once again to break it all down. Here's the man who will never enslave animals for food purposes. It's Chris Worldwide Murphy.
It's true. This is the one of my favorite part of the episode was the declaration that animals were no longer eaten in the future, and it is truly the ideal vegan future of Star Trek.
Just
future.
replicated
and tastes as good. That's what they
just
said.
as good.
And just as good. And you know what? There are today's options that do taste just as good nowadays. So the future only gets closer.
Only gets closer for Chris Murphy here. And here's the man who, I want to know what's happened to his mind, Doctor.
What's happened to your mind, Doctor?
It's Adam Woodward.
One question: why? I ask you again: why?
Why? Why? Tell me why.
Why?
Yes.
I love that line. Why?
There's so much in this episode to talk about. It's elementary, really.
It's elementary, my dear Riker.
Okay, guys, just confession and spoilers ahoy if you have not seen this episode. You know it's only 30 years old, but almost 40 at this point. But we're going to talk all about it. Okay, where do you start? This episode, guys, do you like this episode?
Like I honestly, I was watching it and I was like, what happens in this episode? I watched it like maybe 6-8 months ago, and I watched it again today, not 2 hours ago, and the whole time I was like, what happens in this episode again? And by the end of it I was like, oh right. So
Yeah,
watching
Adam?
Cobra Commander versus Paw Patrol as a B story to like well, wasn't there a movie in the 90s where there like the whole plot of the film, there was like a detective trying to chase this serial killer, but the serial killer could like transport his essence into people simply by touching him. Does this ring a bell?
Maybe.
Talker.
Maybe. I don't know.
There was that one with the John Goodman in the 90s, but I can't remember the name of it, with the possession and time is on my side and all that.
Yeah.
But
feel
that
like the Simpsons
escapes me.
parried it at one point, but yeah.
Well, just before I get to you, Adam, I just want to say I'm pretty sure I've never seen this before. Like, or
really?
if I have, I don't think I've never seen the whole episode. Because as I was watching it, I was like, I don't remember any of this ever.
See? It's not forgettable.
Which for me and Star Trek The Next Generation, which I've watched so much in syndication throughout my life, that it's, like, for there to be an episode I've never really seen is, I guess it can happen. It happened on Deep Space Nine. There was an episode I had never seen there either. Didn't even know existed. And I feel like this one is almost that. I had seen like pictures of like Data with like the pipe and smoking the pipe. And so I was like, oh, this is that episode. But for the most part, I was like, I didn't remember any of this. So to you, Adam.
I remember this episode really. I don't think you don't need the whole Sille and Antigon story at all. Like,
No.
Chris, I appreciate you like the whole vegan thing. That was great. But Other than that, there's not much to that, like really, and it's just a strange episode. Like the effects are, Worf bugs the shit out of me. Excuse my language there, but he does, and who's this chief engineer? Not chief engineer, but engineer Singh, new guy again.
He doesn't last. Don't worry.
Yeah, no.
No, they don't realize. They don't realize they got that genius O'Brien waiting in the wings, working usher duty basically.
Yeah.
But you know what? Even sorry, one more thing on that before you go. Like he even references Chief Engineer Argyle, who we saw last week, but never see again. Like
did you talk to Argyle? I did. He doesn't know either. Okay.
Know either. Like, where is he? Why isn't he in the room?
Why is he assistant chief engineer in this meeting instead of the chief engineer?
Oh my god.
There was some questions on this one. I think the abilities of Troy's powers come into question here.
Big time.
You know, what she can sense and not sense and when she can sense it. But that's nothing new. Well, I guess it is new because we're still in the early seasons of this show, but that will just become a trope of Deanna Troi. And okay, and even the fact that Picard comes back at the end of this episode, seemingly having beamed himself into oblivion, comes back without a memory, and then they just kind of keep going about their day. After
I was like, oh, so the actual Jean-Luc Picard's dead, and this is just a backup copy that they're running off of.
It was like
that they had in the systems. They're just like, oh.
This is a set the tone for the Relics episode with Scotty later on, where they found them in the buffer, whatever.
That's more Scott. I think that guy has more claim to be Scotty than this Picard, who comes back, doesn't even know where he's been or what he's been doing, but kind of does.
He's like,
it's unsettling. We'll get to it, but it's unsettling that the last version of you transported is the current one. Like
right, but he got back into the ship. He was like, "Help me, I'm a P." Like he wrote letter P on like the monitor, and then, but when he comes back, he doesn't remember any of this, which I guess tracks with everybody else who got possessed in the episode. But
he knew enough to come back in. Well. Anyway,
anyway, it doesn't make a lot of sense. This is not the best episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation. I'm going to say that. I don't know if it's the worst.
And I really think that Tashiar sucks as a security officer.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's like, I couldn't keep them apart. Riker's like, what do you mean? Just put people on duty and keep them in the rooms. How hard is this, Tasha?
Exactly.
Yeah, you have a whole staff. At one point, O'Brien gets tapped in here to.
But even him, he's not even like dealing with it. There's no calling the bridge and I have a problem down here and nothing.
He's not too confident in Tasha's abilities. And Sam saying, Norman saying, talk to O'Brien and his mother. I think that's about the meat because Brian's mother did run a farm and she did actually do the meat, and he does appear in this episode. But so it's not completely God in the 24th century, but mostly. Anyway, so guys, let's jump into the screenshots and remind ourselves what happened in this fantastic episode. First off, we get the introduction, the first time ever, I believe, of the dress uniforms. Now, this is I would call this maybe a prototype because I don't think we ever see this particular version quite again.
Knee length, yeah.
No, it's not even the length. Okay, so Riker and Picard have gold piping on theirs, and Tasha has silver piping. That goes away in the later versions, or most of the later versions. Picard has got that thicker gold stripe, and Riker's got a thinner one. They're not wearing any rank pips at all, which is also a bit of a difference. And yeah, it is. I don't know. Like, I know if Jody and Kevin were here, they would definitely be complaining about this because they say it looks like a dress.
I mean, yeah, it definitely looks like a dress. That's undeniable. But I do kind of like the simple aesthetic of them, but they do need the pips. If they had the pips, they would look real sharp.
Yes, and they do add the pips I think is in the next version that we're going to see of these, and they eventually get a little shorter. They're not quite as long in the future, as we move along.
Dave, I don't mind that. Like the cut on Riker looks like pretty good there.
It's not the worst. It's like something with this wraparound collar on his version bugs me a little bit because of the way it's coming around. But I don't.
Like his arms are all bunched up, and it could be tailored better, for sure.
Yeah, like this is it could be tailored better, but it's not. I don't hate these. I like that there's a dress uniform. I like that these actually have a collar that goes up that will sort of become what this uniform will the duty uniform will become after season 3.
Do you find that like when you go back a shot and you see like the length, particularly on Tasha, it's not so much the length, it's how much material there is. It really bunches out like a big skirt.
Yeah, no, I agree that it should probably just come down a little bit past the belt line and that's kind of what the later versions do. Like if you see the versions they wear on Voyager or whatever, that's basically the same thing. It gets better in how it looks,
much like the show.
Much like the show, maybe. So it's just like that. So we start off here with the Enterprise beams beams over this delegation of lizard people,
the Sele,
who don't like the dog people, who are already here apparently, and they're going to a place called
"Get You, G.I. Joe." That's
yeah,
all goes in my
this
head.
is what you meant by Cobra Commander. Now I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So apparently the dog people have already beamed over. And they're going to a place called Parliament, which apparently is some planet that you can go to mediate disputes.
Parliament, like as Picard said, Parliament.
Parliament. I love the way that he says Parliament in this. And so the lizard people can smell the dog people, and they're not happy about it. They don't want to be anywhere near their quarters. Apparently, they're only going to be 100 meters apart, which is not a lot. And so
I just want to point out one thing. If they're smelling things, how come their tongues aren't snapping out into the air to smell things?
Yeah, not very good lizard people, are they?
So what number is this? Episode number 7, right?
7, yeah.
So I don't know. I think this is the first attempt to do something a little different, and they bombed.
Yeah, like in terms of makeup or in terms of it doesn't look great. And the dog people don't look great either.
No. Actually, I was trying to figure, like, because what fails for me on these is the lack of lips moving.
Right. You can't see the actor enough in it. The actor is sort of lost, and that's kind of like what will become kind of the rule. It kind of already was the rule in Star Trek, but like one thing that Roddenberry usually insisted on was like, I got to be able to see their mouth and I got to be able to see their eyes, so that we can still have that connection to the performer, as much as possible. And this is pretty much taking that out of the picture equation, with the dog people. And I know they have a name, but I can't remember.
Antigons.
The Antonins.
Antigons.
Yeah, those guys. The one apparently Mark Alimo, Gul Dukat, is the guy in that performance, but you would never know. But at least you can see his eyes a little bit more than you can see these lizard people eyes. So anyway, I agree with you. It's a bit of a misfire here in the makeup, but I glad that they were trying for something.
Anti-can. Just think Anakin.
Yeah. They're anti-can. They are not pro-can.
That's correct.
So just remember that. So the Enterprise moving along. They take off the dress uniforms, and Picard and Riker are. What are they talking
that
about
sounds
here?
Racist.
And they're going along, but guess what, guys? We're headed to Parliament, and we saw a neat looking space cloud, and why don't we just stop and check it out? Because apparently it's traveling at warp speed, which is also weird.
Dave, I know you love these chairs, but they still look like total recliners, and they're sleeping in there. Like
it's a little bit casual. They get better, just like the dress uniforms.
Yeah,
it's the Lazy Boy 9000. You can't fly through space without a laser.
He's got his little button laying back.
Maybe it's just so that they don't block the screen for the captain.
Maybe.
So they're just sunken down.
They could have raised the screen up then. I don't know.
I feel like that the chairs are even closer together than they should be too. Like I feel like they obviously move them, but
it's theater rules, baby. Gotta go with theater seating.
Yeah. So hey, let's go check out the space cloud. Meanwhile, he's got Geordi and Worf working in sensor control. This room, I don't think we ever see again. And Picard, Worf says
this is the maintenance closet. Okay, so where you always see like the center console just outside the engine room. I've always imagined this is that little maintenance closet right behind the center console. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I can't dispute that. So yeah, it could very well be the case. And so they call down. Yeah. So Worf and Geordi are working away because Picard, he wants his junior officers to know their stuff, and he puts
learn.
And Geordi goes, not just the senior officers or the junior officers, all the officers. That's my best Geordi impression.
You're so plucky.
Yeah. So while the Enterprise is investigating the cloud, Worf hears a little something across the room in the maintenance closet, and he's the first to be electrocuted by this amazing blue lightning stuff. Like Michael Dorn sells it for me. Like,
oh my god! So I really like Worf in this season so far has just lost me. I am not a Worf fan. Like,
you're not a Worf fan?
I am later on, not now.
Not now? No, this is good. Come on, this is some good stuff here.
What point does he lose the dentures?
Yeah,
like he just gets normal teeth at some point.
He never does. He always has the fangs.
They don't look this bad though. Like
maybe he gets he might get a better set later on, I think. But yes,
like, when he curls his lips, man, they really show.
Now, the thing with this blue lightning is, based on what we're told in this episode, no one can see this. It's kind of an invisible energy, right?
Well, even
I assume
Geordi
that
Geordi
said he.
Geordi says he saw like a radiation spike or something. But later on, when Picard gets possessed on the bridge in kind of front of everybody, it seems like nobody sees that, you know. And so
again, that there was a moment where I feel like Geordi kind of noticed it, and then he's like, "Are you okay?"
The only one who can kind of maybe see this is Geordi.
Yeah, I would say if anybody can see it, it would be Geordi, because he sees like different spectrums of, you know, whatever.
But don't you think that Geordi would have like called it out and go, "Okay, I saw something. This was pretty, you know." I mean,
well, he tries to later on.
Yeah,
but...
Well, he was distracted with work, so he could have been like, "I noticed something out of the corner of my eye," and that's when he mentions like.
But Picard just wants him to learn, not watch.
Well, I mean, he's in the middle of work and he sees his coworker drop to the floor all of a sudden. He's just like, "What just happened? I think the panel exploded. I don't know. It doesn't look like there's damage, but I think I saw something." You know, like he can't explain it. He's just, you know.
Worf goes down for the count here, but he's not dead. That's a teaser.
Go back and
so gray.
Look at that line around his from his eye back. You can really see the makeup line there too.
Well, even if you look here, you can kind of see where they've blended the makeup into like around his
gray. The high definition res up didn't quite hold over for the makeup.
They're like,
effects.
You know, you can see the makeup. Shut up! This is only gonna be on screen for 10 seconds or less, and it's gonna be on a screen this big. No one will be able to tell unless they get high def TVs one day. Here we are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but yeah, I agree that they look. It's a little not the best look there. You can almost see the glue and things like going on with his makeup if you really stare at it long enough, which we shouldn't keep doing. So anyway, the Next Generation, we get our title card for this episode. Lonely Among Us. It's Dr. Crusher and a medical officer of some kind come along to try to treat Worf. Then Worf, possessed by the space cloud, throws this young nurse guy across the room, and Geordi goes for the body flop.
Oh, he was great.
He just
cross body slam
across Worf to give Dr. Crusher a chance to give him the hypo spray and put him down.
Technically cross body drop, but yeah.
Yeah. Then they carry Worf out of there. So then Geordi does go to the captain and says, "Well, he dropped dead, or he didn't die, I guess. He dropped down, but I don't really understand why. But I saw maybe a radiation spike. Who knows? Mystery." And that's kind of where it's left in terms of the explanation. Then we go over to the dog people's quarters, the delegate of the dog people, where Anticons. And this guy again is Mark Alimo. You like, if you could tell from Gold Dukat from Deep Space Nine, but he is hard to recognize. But they're talking about the Anticons diet, and that they don't want to eat dead animals; they want to eat living animals. That's how they go. And they're like, well, we've seen you eat meat. And Riker says, well, we no longer.
We no longer enslave animals for food purposes.
Oh, what a backwards people you are, and everything else. But the Enterprise is going to try to accommodate them.
No, they weren't though. Tasha was fighting him again. Like it really shows to me they hadn't evolved this cast long enough, or even the understanding that maybe cultures are different. That you should just entertain them and do what you need to do. Because she was like, and then he just said, Riker just goes, "Okay, Tasha, just do it."
Yeah, he was like, not a problem. What whatever you need. So yeah, Tasha.
The sentence, we don't enslave animals for food purposes, implies that there's other purposes that they do enslave animals for.
Like horseback riding?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Ooh, I didn't see this little hat she had on.
Yeah, I'm like, what happened to the hat with the little medical scanner here? This never comes back, I don't think, but I don't mind it. But then Dr. Crusher, while she's treating Worf, gets the energy into her, and like the space cloud is now possessing her, just for Deanna Troi to show up. But Deanna Troi asks if she's okay, but doesn't really seem to sense anything. She says,
yeah, she's got a cerebro on her head. She's not going to be able to sense through that.
Right. It's like a magneto helmet, and it blocks everything. So, so Dr. Crusher, now possessed by the space cloud, is kind of wandering around and leaves Worf just to sort of figure things out. I'm trying to remember the context of this conversation between Picard and Data. But
I think they're talking about the cloud, and there's nothing to do there. Just move on.
Yeah. Never mind that boring space cloud. We'll figure it out later. Then possessed Dr. Crusher goes to her quarters, where she runs into Wesley Crusher, who's doing his homework. And she just kind of grabs his homework about dilithium crystals or something. And but she's acting kind of weird, everybody. Like she's not, but not enough that people can tell. Oh, okay, see you later, Mom.
You never seemed interested in my homework before.
You never seemed interested in warp theory before, but now suddenly you are. So Dr. Crusher, again possessed, heads to the bridge, and she goes, "This is helm control, isn't it? This is like because all this entity seems to want to do is get back to the space cloud. That's kind of like the main goal here. Because apparently, we find out the space cloud entity got sucked up into the Enterprise's computer, and sort of unwillingly trapped here. So,
I feel like it maybe like got sucked into a vent of like a deuterium sort of thing. It was like they were just like, that's what happens if we pass through this intergalactic space cloud, see what happens, and then just like got sucked up in the vents. Then it became a part of the computer, and it's like, I need out of this corporeal hellhole. Where am I? What's happening?
It's kind of that. Yeah, you're right. Like you don't want to be here anymore. But instead of just telling everybody this, the entity tries to go with this sort of like deception route for whatever reason. So Dr. Crusher tries to go to the computer station under the guise that she's looking up how to treat Worf. But Data checks it out and goes, "That's not how you treat Worf. You're looking at like helm control stuff."
Yeah.
Why would you access medical from that?
Well, it's complicated doctor stuff, Data, really. And then the entity is able to move from Dr. Crusher into the computer itself, which once Dr. Crusher is relieved of possession, doesn't remember anything any more than Worf does. Just suddenly I'm on the bridge and I don't know how. That's not weird.
See, but there's another thing. You got breaks in their memory of senior officers.
Yeah.
Like, this is a problem.
I would say
that
suspicious.
Is what we call a red flag.
Yes. Right. Now, it will come late. We get to by the time we get to Star Trek Voyager and shows like that, like they're pretty keen to say like what's happening. Like we have to just assume you're possessed by an alien in some way. But at this point, I guess they're willing to be more like, no, that could never happen. It hasn't happened enough. We haven't enough episodes like that. But just then we see that now that the entities moved into the computer, there's major problems in the computer. The engines stop working and they lose warp control in the next moments here. So now they are on impulse power. And then, Picard calls this meeting to try to figure out what the hell's going on with the engineering staff. How come I don't have warp drive? That's weird.
Who is she?
Presumably another member of the engineering staff that we'll never see again. So it's but
This is
Argyle's
great.
not here.
You got so much going on here. Like, honestly.
Yeah.
What,
Assistant chief engineer Singh has no explanation. And
oh my gosh. Okay, so I don't know if you guys noticed this, but the girdle they're wearing, like the men, especially him, you can see that.
Like especially later on when he's in
Later
engineering,
on, yes.
in his death scene, where like I know that they wore like sort of like these Spanx kind of things underneath the uniforms. Like sometimes they were called muscle suits.
Yeah.
But his does not work very well for him.
They should have just let him have a pot belly.
Yeah.
Well, there's like a ridge there, like it looks very uncomfortable.
Yes. They're like, you're only in a couple scenes, don't worry about it, it's gonna be fine.
What if he was actually meant to be like a major engineer, and then he gets like day one, starts filming, doing the Spanx thing, and he's like, write me out. What? Write me out. I need to die. I'm out of this. Just whatever.
Yeah.
Kill me in the next scene.
Basically, yeah, like the person who they originally cast to play Janeway, her name was Genevieve Bujold. Like she basically said, "What, you want me to work 16 hours a day? No way!" And then she just walked off the set. And off.
Yeah, that's a true story.
Yeah. So let's go. Yeah, Picard's like, I don't care. I don't want any of your excuses. Get it done. He pulls a Jellicoe, really, and says, I don't care that you can't explain any of this stuff. We need to get going again.
But Jordy kind of did that too earlier. He said, sometimes the outcome is just better than the who cares how it happened. We're working. Everything's going good now.
Typical upper management yelling at the Middle Eastern IT guy.
Yeah. Here we go. All right. So then in the next scene, Riker is called to confiscate some of the dog people's laser scalpels, which apparently could be used as a weapon that they use to dismember their prey or something like that. I don't know.
It's very interesting. Like, I mean, you look at that skull, it's like a exoskeleton type thing they've got going on.
Yeah, kind of like the xenomorph or something.
Yeah.
Almost. Like I like that part of the design. Yeah, like the skull is very different and like whatever. But I hate that I can't really tell. I feel like the acting is all dubbed and whatever. They give him these big claws and whatever.
He's just a dog and he's looking for a baseball.
Basically, they should just be like throw a tennis ball and see him go for it.
Or Cisco's baseball.
Yeah, there you get like a closer look at them. I don't know. Again, this whole plot line with the fighting between the dogs and the lizards is kind of always is maybe the least interesting thing in this whole episode. But then what happens next, guys? Down in engineering, Geordi and Singh and Wesley Crusher think that they got this thing working again, and the warp drive is back online again. And then they're going along. Eventually, there's a meeting here in Picard's ready room where they're trying to figure out the mystery of what's happening with the systems. How could all the systems be breaking down? Because even though they got the engines working again, other systems, the communications are are not working now, I think. Which Data says the ship's a year old. This is impossible for our ship to be this fragile and to be breaking down this easily, right? It's a mystery, but we need a detective or a private eye to try to figure this out. And this kind of intrigues Data onto Sherlock Holmes, something that will become a thing for him.
Well, doesn't he like postulate that it could be a saboteur?
He does at least at one point. I can't remember if it's this scene or not, but yeah. So I don't know. Data with the whole thing, and then in the next scene here, we're back with Wesley Crusher and Singh down in the engine room, and Singh's like, "No, go do your homework." But Wesley's
what's
like,
with
"No."
The sweater, it doesn't go all the way to his sleeves. Is it because he's bunching it up all the time?
Wesley Crusher goes through a whole plethora of weird sweaters. This is just one of many. Jake Sisko also has quite a few weird looking sweaters and civilian clothes because they never quite know how they want to dress a civilian in Star Trek in the 24th century. It's often an issue.
Put him in my grandmother's sweater. It'll be from the future.
It's from the future. Yeah. where roll up the sleeves and whatever. So
Oh yeah,
okay,
Sing wasn't that the moment where Sing gets possessed, or is that?
it's coming up. It's coming up. It comes after this.
Yeah.
So then Wesley goes back to his quarters or class or whatever he has to do, and then I guess he met something with his mom. His mom's wearing a civilian clothes. She looks fine in the dress. But so it seems to be something they can do easier in women, but on guys they seem to struggle with this. Anyway, but this is where Wesley's like, I was telling you about my homework this morning, and she's like, I don't remember any of that stuff.
Again, another red flag, Chris.
Another red flag.
Yeah, she's a medical doctor. You'd think that would be a giant red flag for her. She's like, wait a minute, what do you mean I lost time? I don't lose time. What do you mean I lost time? Let's do some checks. I have medical staff. Let's figure out why I lost time. No, I'm gonna go read a book.
She was gonna read a book, and that's how it goes. So here's where assistant chief engineer Singh will meet his end as he gets.
Oh, there's where you see the spank or girdle or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's actually like poking out here in a very unnatural way.
Mhm.
So it's you can see he gets hit with the blue lightning, and then he goes down hard here. Worf just happens to be passing through engineering at this time.
Okay, I gotta raise one question here. Is this like the last time we see a Middle Eastern Starfleet officer with the name Singh, like first and probably last time up until maybe Discovery?
I don't think it's the last time. Maybe specifically with the name Singh.
Well, I don't not well. I mean, maybe not exactly like Singh, but specifically like a Middle Eastern Starfleet officer. I can't.
They should have done
say
way
I've seen
more than this than they did. Doctor Who did it. Remember, Dinosaurs on a Spaceship? That episode.
Yeah,
they had it was all run under India, like this the defensive Earth defensive planetary defense mechanism or whatever was all out of India.
Yeah, like I appreciate that they're trying to throw like a little bit more diversity amongst the humans because of course humans have many cultures and countries and languages and presumably all the planets do, but they kind of mostly humans seem to be American. But anyway, yes. Singh meets his end here as he's found dead by Worf over the warp core here, and Picard is devastated to hear this. So the mystery continues.
This is the first crewman that died, I think.
I think he might be the first crew member to of any on screen, right? Because even that guy who got frozen in the first episode by Q apparently didn't die.
No, he came back.
Yeah. So yeah.
Huh.
Sing's the first casualty of the Enterprise D that we know of. Anyway, so they're down in engineering trying to figure out what Singh was working on, and Wesley's like, those were not the numbers he had in the system when I left, but they've been changed now somehow, maybe by an entity. Anyway, but the ship's back at warp again, and then they go to see the dog people, the Anti-Kens, to see if they might know anything about what happened to Singh, because they're now suspects in this murder. But they were busy eating for many hours at this time.
It was a long meal.
It was a long meal and an interesting animal. So
have they tried offering them kibble?
Unclear. Maybe Tasha did. She might have pushed for that.
They might like it. You never know.
Yeah. In this scene with the lighting, for some reason, the makeup looks so bad to me. Anyway, so then Worf shows up to see Dr. Crusher because they want to talk about their memory loss that they've been experiencing. And Deanna Troi has the solution, everybody. Hypnotism. We're going to hypnotize you to try to get to the bottom of this.
So this is the first time she's actually doing a job.
Yes, actually a function.
Yeah.
But before that, we have to go back to the observation lounge for a meeting here with Data as Sherlock Holmes, where, he breaks it all down.
This reminds me of something. Okay. Earlier when the Cobra commanders came on the bridge and they were complaining about the Paw Patrol and how they smelled and they wanted to be upwind of them, my first thought was, upwind? Sir, you're an encapsulated machine. There is no wind.
Yep.
Yes.
I thought of that too.
That's a reference to something?
No, I just
Oh.
I just thought it was like an odd, phrase to say considering there is no wind inside a spaceship.
Yes.
Dave, I like this scene a lot.
The scene with the Sherlock Holmes, I think it's probably the best scene in the episode.
Well, this is probably the most important part of the episode is that this kicks off Data's like Sherlock Holmes obsession.
Yeah, and him just leaning into the part, even though a man is dead. You know, he's a little too cash. Maybe even for Jim the Casual. I don't know. But
he's big smiles on everybody, but the way he's like smoking his pipe and hitting the screen with it, and like yeah.
The casual sexism,
Indubitably, my good woman.
Indubitably, and then he's blowing the smoke in Tasha's face. There's just like all this stuff going on. And they're like, that must be it, Riker. There must be some kind of an explanation here.
But again,
anyway.
this is like there's lots of firsts in this episode because I think this is the first time you saw Brent Spiner do something more with Data.
When he got drunk in that one episode, he acted a little silly and stuff, like out of character more. Yeah. But this is him. He's completely sober for all this, and he's just leaning into the part. So then let's go back to the hypnotism, guys. A guy died. Nah, I'm gonna make this goofy. Exactly.
Yeah, the first guy died. The first crew.
First guy. The first time they've lost a crew member ever.
Funeral? What funeral? No shenanigans.
Yeah, where's the bagpipes? Like, where's the bagpipes?
Where are the bagpipes? Or the whatever the culturally appropriate music would be. Anyway, so the bagpipes go.
Sitars?
Maybe sitars. Maybe a Bollywood dance scene. I don't know. So
Spock was Scottish.
Scotty was though.
Yes.
Anyway, so they kind of figure out that they were maybe possessed by some kind of power during this through the act of hypnotism here. One of the only times they ever use hypnotism in Star Trek to kind of get to the bottom of things. They come to Picard with this information. They have this kind of meeting in his ready room, explaining that there might be another presence here, something taking them over, whatever else. They go to Data.
No, wait, before you get there though, even he was funny because, you go, well, Deanna, why didn't you call this out when you noticed it before? Like, it's the duality I sense in humans all the time when they, make decisions and come on.
Yeah, she can kind of make up any reason to why her powers are spotty.
She's Teflon. Nothing sticks her.
But let's get to Data here, who's still rocking the pipe and trying to break it all down.
Let's proceed without the pipe.
Yeah, no pipe for Picard. He doesn't care for it. Data's doing his spiel, looking at the fish tank with his magnifying glass. I don't know. They're really leaning into this idea of Data being the comedic, belief, which more or less works. On the bridge, they have a complete helm control, and Worf calls them to the bridge immediately because they've lost control of the ship. And this is where Picard gets the blue lightning that goes inside of him, and he's taken over now. Geordi maybe sees something. But I guess because he's a lieutenant junior grade, him and Worf didn't get invited to that meeting in the ready room, so they're less up to speed on things in this moment. And you see like the change in Picard almost immediately, but I guess it's too subtle to do anything within regulations about. He orders the ship to turn around and go back to the space cloud right away. And they're like, "That's weird."
Yeah. Sir, are you sure about that?
Are you sure?
Is it not an order?
Do you think captains have to explain every order all the time? Is that, Well, no. Okay, good. Let's fly back. And then, they even show us through the view screen. They're like actually turning the ship around and going along. And everyone's like, "Hey, Captain, are you okay?" "Why wouldn't I be? Fine." Then this is the scene here with O'Brien, the second appearance of Cole Meany ever in the series. Where he's chasing the Antikins and he runs into the other lizard person, and he's trying to break up the fight here in the corridor. I I think they shot this the same day that Riker got the scene where he gets the green thing around his neck. Anyway, this again, not
What
that
is
good of
with
a
the
scene.
lighting in this hallway? It's
I
not
don't
like they're
know.
having a power surge.
It looks like they're having rolling blackouts throughout the
Yeah.
Enterprise right now. So
It's like, listen, we can't light these costumes really well. Let's just go with like back and side lighting and really dark, backdrops. We can't show these things in the typical lighting we would put them
And
in.
lots of shadows.
I think you're
Shadows.
correct that they are lighting this badly because the makeup is not that we're not working well with it for whatever reason. So yeah. Anyway, moving on
It's
from
almost as bad as The Man on Earth or Man from Earth, whatever that movie was that we reviewed there, Ed. I mean, remember the
I
one?
love that movie. Yes. Okay, never mind.
that. Yes.
Take me back to that interesting chat.
So this next scene is this meeting where the senior officers are discussing whether or not they can like relieve Picard of duty or get him, sort of taken off here. Whose quarters are these? Are these Riker's quarters?
I thought
feel
these
like
were
they're
just
an office.
observation.
Yeah, some kind of.
It's just a room. It's just some random room. Okay. Because we see here like this Enterprise Galileo shuttle model that's on display here, and there's some other weird like ships and things on display inside in this room, whoever's it is. They're kind of debating whether they can relieve the captain or not, and he's taking us to the space cloud. We don't know why. And
I love it too. Is like they try to dump this on Crusher first. You gotta find a reason why he's not fit to be captain. And she goes, no. You're the only one that can make the decision, Riker. You do it.
Yeah, she passes the buck pretty hard here, quite frankly. She's like, well, maybe if I had a reason. So I don't know what but ultimately it is Dr. Crusher who goes to see. They go together.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, I'm not going alone. You're not going alone. So I guess they decided we're going to go see the captain together. And they're saying, hey, we'd like you to come down for some medical and psychological evaluations. How does that sound?
Why?
You have a reason? Why? Well, we're just a little worried about the course and things like that. He's like, I have a better idea. How about you get your medical examinations and psychological profiles? And come right back. They're like, uh-huh. He's like, do I have to order security to take you to sick bay? No. But he sends them away. Obviously he's not acting himself, but they can't prove it.
The hunch over, the little goblin hunch over. It's like, why this little goblin hunch? Just
because you know why? I think it's so unlike him. Usually he's very erect and tight and everything he does. Even throwing his foot on the desk, which is weird. Where you see the slit in the pants for the first time, I think.
Right. Is that coming? Yeah, it was here. You see like that little strap. There's a strap here that comes at the bottom of the pants and then wraps around the boot so that it's always like tight here or something. Anyway, yeah, see that for the first time. Yeah, but I guess I guess that's Picard's way, or more like Patrick Stewart's way of showing that he's different, right, through a physical performance. Again, we're back in this dark corridor where Riker gets like the green glow stick around the neck here, and
it would be funny if you said, "Would somebody from engineering get up and fix this lighting, please?"
Yeah, I don't know what the hell's going on. And the lizard people said, "Oh, you're the wrong species. We were trying to catch an Antican." So Riker calls Tashiar to try to break this up. Again,
why is she there and not supervising these guys? Like, anyway.
Well, I mean,
it's
she
her main
should
job.
have. She should. Yeah, her team should be doing it, but like
somebody should be doing it. She's in charge of that department. Come on,
that's her whole thing. She's got no phasers to fire in this episode, so this is where her focus should be, quite frankly. But anyway, back to Picard in the ready room, who's having quite a merry time reading whatever. Crusher shows up with the medical reports. I brought the reports. You want to read them? No, don't really. And then she says, "Are you Jean-Luc? Are you in there?" He says, "Oh, we are both in here. We are both Picard,
and more.
And you're like, this seems like the time to relieve him of duty.
She's like, the more is what scares me.
The more, but still, they're playing along here still. They get to the space cloud. They're starting to do scans. Picard shows up and he's like, guess what? You guys don't even know what's going on here, but a space entity, a sentient being, managed to get inside the ship and then went into Worf and was trying to figure out how to get out of here, but didn't. I don't know. I can't remember the whole speech, but
He apologized for killing Singh too.
oh, that was a
Yeah.
complete accident.
We felt
but
great remorse for that.
great remorse for that. Not for anything else, really. But it's
Well, he didn't kill anybody or anything. He just was hopping body to body trying to find his way home. So
Taking
I
away
guess,
the
I mean, taking away their autonomy, sure, yeah, that's
Taking
something
away their
to
free will?
apologize for.
you
Yeah,
know,
their autonomy. But I mean,
taking
if
their bodies like their test drives, like their without their permission. The ethical dilemmas are numerous, but whatever.
he's a flying fart, and he doesn't
flying
quite
fart.
understand the rules of what corporeal, autonomy and
I guess not.
boundaries are. He's just he's just trying to get this silly machine ship to turn back so he can get back to his fart party.
Yeah, he's blue lightning fart party. That's how it goes. In the space cloud that can go at warp speed. So, but they're talking to Picard, and he's like, "Well, guess what? I am going to resign from Starfleet because they're basically Picard's saying I'm not possessed exactly. Like we're kind of like Venom. We're kind of both together now. We're like it's kind of like a joined Trill situation here." And Riker's like, I can't allow you to leave because Picard's like, I'm just going to beam myself into the space cloud as pure energy along with my new friend. And we're going to become this new thing. And everyone objects to that. Picard says, yeah, watch this. I can blue lightning fart right into this whole system, this whole room and clear the room. Watch it out. And they all get hit with this lightning, which I don't know, debilitates them, incapacitates them, but
I love the shadow over there on the turbo-left door.
yeah. Like
Yeah,
Worf's shadow,
so
because
harsh.
it's a big shadow too. Yeah. As they were going, I wonder what this scene was like to film with them not having the special effects added in yet. Where they're like,
All I'm saying is the grip team was probably reworked after this one.
Yeah.
They might have looked for a new DOP.
Right. Can you get to the captain? I can't see him. This was not great. Let's face it. So
I think they could have done much better just by flashing a strobe.
Yeah, that would have been good.
yeah, but
Look, everyone, give me your best stink face. Picard is stewing up a fart party over here.
oh no,
Oh God, it's in my eyes. It burns.
I think that's what the director did say. Anyway, so the Picard is able to just leave the bridge. He finds the transporter chief guy on the floor, who's not O'Brien. It's some other guy. And Picard just turns on the transporter, hops up to the pad, and beams himself into nothingness. I guess into space, never to be rematerialized, or well, he will be actually. So then they can't find him. It's sometime later. Everyone's back. And Riker's, he's about ready to give up. He's ready to say, let's take off to Parliament. But just then, Deanna Troi has a sense. She has a feeling, everybody. And what do you mean?
Turned on all of a sudden.
But the entity left. Apparently once Picard and the entity got into the cloud or whatever, they couldn't stay as one thing. And the entity's like, screw you, Picard. We're not gonna be thing
He's just
anymore.
like casually floating in space. He's like,
no. It's kind of a one night stand, really. It's kind of like a leave him and love him situation, or love him and leave him, I suppose. Well, so they're able to like let's fly into the space cloud ever so slightly, and then Worf's like, my computer's kind of going weird. What's this about? We see here on Geordi's monitor that he's created a little P for Picard to say, it's me.
This is kind of embarrassing.
This is not great.
this is the franchise we all love, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
The franchise we encourage everybody to watch so that we can all strive towards a unity and a perfect Star Trek future.
Thank
This is it.
goodness, like 1 to 6 was good because, like, at this point you can tolerate one bad one.
Yeah. Well, and so Data's like, I have a theory. Let's run to the transporter room before it's too late. He's like, well, maybe Picard went to the right place at the right time, and we can just beam him back with using his last copy. Like, I think Murphy, you might be right that he's sort of a backup in a sense.
Always save your backups, kids.
Yeah.
You lose your original copy, you just gotta go to the backup, and you might have lost a couple hours of work, but like, wow, that's nothing.
Like,
That's
I would have rather him retained these memories, because I think there's so many things you could ask him about this experience. What was it like to take
because
a pee?
he's dead. He's dead. He was dead. That was him being
But
dead.
they're kind of indicating that it is still him, because they were like hoping that his energy or his consciousness was there at the right time.
I'm sorry, but I didn't see a green candle on that deck.
That's true. There's no green candle. I don't know. I think that the metaphysics of this are somewhat hard to resolve. But anyway, Picard is confused. But they're just happy to have him back. Don't worry about the space cloud thing. We're never going to talk about that again. And
never.
And and just then Tasha Yar shows up to say, dog people and lizard people going at it again.
Wait. One's dead now. So they've lost a delegate on the ship.
Wait,
this is like
really?
embarrassing now. She could not control them enough to keep them apart, and now you got this problem.
She does indicate that they may have eaten one of them. Yes. So.
Wow, that totally went over my head. I didn't pay attention to that at all.
Yeah,
that's not good.
She is the worst security officer ever. Like, no wonder she got killed off.
She's only gonna die in like 20 episodes, okay, or 10 episodes. But
you can't keep dogs away from snakes. They're just
dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
She didn't even try. She didn't even try to keep them together or apart.
Anyway, but it's just another day of wackiness here in Interstellar Politics, and that's the end of the episode. It ends kind of abruptly,
Another episode from the cocaine dreams of Gene Roddenberry, ladies and gentlemen.
So, Adam, is there something fun? Is there a fun fact to share about this?
There's a bunch of stuff you've already identified, but I'm still going to talk about it because it's kind of worth talking about.
Right,
so
you're up, sir.
All right. So Colmini appears as the nameless crewman again, escorting the Antigan delegate, who also appeared in the ops position. He also appeared in the opposition at Counter 4 Point. He would later become the transporter chief, O'Brien, because I guess they really needed to figure out how to get people out of clouds in one piece with their memories. But,
you can't just rely on Data all the time.
No. This is the first episode to reveal Data's persona of Sherlock Holmes. And I felt that when he found out about Sherlock Holmes, it was like a minute before he, authorized. I guess he did the whole entire works of his writing, or Sir Colin.
Okay, so there's one thing that needs to be said about this show, and I think it's very important. There is no sense of actual time. There can be like either an hour to weeks of time just completely gone between one scene and the next scene, and they just don't explain it ever.
That's true.
Yeah. One item of tech was introduced in this episode, which never returned, was the surgical cap and eyepiece formed by Dr. Crusher, which we called out. Although this is the only major appearance of either Anakin's or the Silay, they continue to be used as background extras in other episodes of Next Gen and Deep Space Nine. I don't remember any of them, but apparently we have to watch for those next.
Background, I think, is the key there, because they not foreground again, like
Mark was his name Alamo? Alamo, thank you. Makes his first Star Trek appearance as Badar. He went on to play T-Buck and before taking on the role of Ducat. He did not want to be credited, Dave, for this because he was feeling a little bit odd about it, but it turned out to be fun. That's what he says.
He didn't want to be credited. He's like, don't even put my name. I don't want them to look up that I played a dog once.
Don't let them know that I tried to act through a plastic cone on my face. I can't have it.
Yeah, and a football-sized brain thing at the back of my skull.
Kavi Raz was not available for shooting of a scene, which Singh was seen in the background. So the production staff just solved this by simply putting a wig on a chair as a photo double.
For who? Who was doubling for who?
This was for Singh, Engineer Singh.
Amazing.
Okay. Put a wig on the back of that chair. It will double for him.
Edward R. Brown's cinematography is particularly dark in this episode and uniquely among Trek so far. It features the entire deck of being blacked out at night. After this episode, the lighting levels on the Enterprise D would gradually increase, although the series lighting remained quite low-key by Star Trek standards until his replacement in the third season.
Yeah, too dark.
Yeah. The regular 24th century pads designed by Rick Sternbach first appeared in this episode. Another first.
Okay, well, those are important. A lot of firsts.
Mm-hmm.
The thing about the pads, though, is they always make like a pad per page. You always see there'll be like 20 of them on their desk at one time.
Right, yeah. That they wouldn't need that many of them, but
Yeah.
but they still do it, I guess, to convey this idea that you have a lot on your plate.
Well, I mean, if anything, they got tab culture, right? You've got like 50 tabs open in your browser window. That's just the same thing.
They're like, no, you'll have 50 pads for instead of 50 tabs.
pads on your desk.
Yep. The diamond-shaped statue in the Antikin guest quarters would previously appeared in Kirk's apartment in Wrath of Khan, and then again in Tashiar's quarters in The Naked Now, and can be seen at the Café des Arts in We'll Always Have Paris in 1988.
Okay. What room did we see it in this episode?
The Antikin's quarters.
Oh, okay. Are we gonna find out what room that was with the Galileo model?
I haven't seen that yet. Just give me a second here. Following this episode, fans wrote in to complain about a scene referencing cannibalism.
Cannibalism? No,
maybe.
the dog ate the lizard. It's not. That's a cross species eating.
That's what I thought it was too. I didn't catch that. So the Antikin mask did not allow for any movement at all, with the exception of the actors being able to poke their tongues through the mouth opening.
Yeah, they're like I can't do much emoting through this. They're like, just try to stick your tongue through the teeth, and that will be good.
Yeah, I think that if anything bothered me about that was the lack of movement in the snout or the jaw, at all.
Yeah, I think that just like they broke that rule about being able to see the actor's mouth and eyes.
Captain Picard.
This episode was the first bottle show on Next Generation. Another first.
I guess it is a bottle show. Yeah. Well, not the best one.
And the first episode where a crewman dies, as we called out too. So, here we go. There's a model of the USS Enterprise shuttlecraft visible when the bridge crew plans their mutiny. Also, very briefly, behind Beverly Crusher is a model of a Constitution class starship.
Yeah, but it's just a room that they're the mutiny room.
They don't talk about where it is. The mutiny room. Yeah, they got a little office to talk when they just need away from Picard. That's great.
Picard can't listen to us here.
Yeah, it can't be in the observation room. It can't be in like
The
10
mutiny
or
room.
whatever meeting room is generally off the deck. So they got to go to like deck 2 to the mutiny room.
Like, it's kind of incredible in this ship that is massively huge. It like when I watch these videos on YouTube and they explain how big this ship is and that 1,000 people could be spread out so wide on this ship that you would never have to see another person. The idea that they put these two delegations anywhere near each other, like on the same deck, let alone even, the same
Or
section.
you're 100 meters apart. Is that good enough?
That's not a lot. Like, the ship is like a kilometer wide as it is. It's like there's a lot of. Plus, you have multiple decks. This ship has like
we
36
put your
decks.
locker room next to their locker room, and you're on the same floor. You're gonna deal with it. But
That's
like
just
10
sports
decks.
culture. That's how we do it. Anyway, so that's.
Listen, we've got a lot of dolphins on decks 12. We can't.
We can't risk the
keep
dog people
spare.
coming to eat them. So,
Yeah.
So I got one more for you here. Is Sherlock Holmes lore here, but Sherlock Holmes never smoked a meerschaum pipe, only a briar pipe, and only when considering a problem. Sherlock's usual smokes were cigarettes. Also, Holmes said elementary only one time in all the books and short stories.
So in the
He may
books,
have occasionally So he may have occasionally dabbled in some opium.
Yes. Yeah.
Are you telling me in the books that Sherlock Holmes just has cigarettes most of the time?
Only he had a briar pipe. Apparently, I'm not sure what a briar pipe is. Only when considering a problem.
It's
Sherlock
not like
Holmes
the
usual-
big loopy thing. It's more
Yeah.
of a like a
Just
Oh,
normal.
like the Corello DeVille cigarette thing?
no, a pipe, a regular pipe.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, just like a regular, like just typical. It's not like the big curvy one like Data has. It's more like a snug.
Hmm. Okay.
The Meerschaum pipe in the multiple elementaries were a product of stage productions and Hollywood. At no time is it stated or even implied that Data researched Sherlock Holmes by written stories.
It's elementary, my dear Riker.
He took this characterization from multiple sources, but I still like it. I like his role, and I like the Holmes character through the Moriarty days and all that stuff too. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
So I'm going to leave it there, Dave. Those are the funnest facts I've got in this episode, which wasn't so good.
Malfunctioning? You're wrong. Look again.
Our most fun, not funnest.
Yeah. Some of this Picard is fun in this. Patrick Stewart's fun for me in this episode. Like, I think he's my favorite part of it.
What happened to your mind, Doctor?
Why?
Why? Anyway, let's rate this episode, everybody. Throw your ratings in the comments if you have if you want to type in it. So, Lonely Among Us. Are you lonely among us, Murphy?
I mean, since 2021, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It was I forgot about this episode and I watched it 2 hours ago and I still forgot about this episode. So
And we're gonna forget about it after this podcast's over. Don't worry. So
yeah, so I'm gonna give it like a 4. Like
4.
and I'll give it the 4 points because it kicks off Data's like, obsession with the Sherlock Holmes and
Is there anything else you have nice to say about it?
oh, the vegan thing. Yeah.
The vegan thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It still was entertaining, even though it was really bad to me. Parts of it were funny, and we got a lot out of this one to talk about. So I'm going to give this a 6.
6. Like the
fair.
thing about it is, like, what mostly I like about it is that I love this cast. So even when there is a bad episode, I still like it more than a bad episode of Deep Space Nine. Even though I don't think they're a bad cast, but I don't think they're as charismatic as these guys, right? So, so
There's
when
something to enjoy about them, yeah.
there's always something like just with Picard or with Data or something, like they have a magic to them. So I feel like it's what did I gave a 5 to the last Outpost, and is this worse? Maybe. So I'll go 4.9. I don't quite like it, but it's not technically bad.
I think it's, for me, interesting that the 2 episodes that Last Outpost wasn't, but Code of Honor and Lonely Among Us are also Tasha just not doing her job.
Well, according to Norman, just wait until the next episode, Justice, before we truly evaluate Tashiar as a security officer. So, okay, we'll hold on for that. Norman is giving this a 2. Jim giving it a 7. So we got some different opinions here. We're averaging at a 5 tonight here on the panel. So
Jim considers it goofy but genuine.
goofy but genuine. Yeah. So I feel like I can't totally disagree with that. So all right, well, then
you're right. I mean, we're only 7 episodes in of a 7-year show.
Sure.
Like this, it's not bad.
It's not great, but this is not a bad episode either. So I would leave, like, I give it a 4.9, which is to say I don't think I'll ever go on my way to watch this again, but I didn't not enjoy it either. So I guess that's all I can put down there. Guys, next episode is Justice. Do you guys remember this one? It's the one where they go to a planet where everybody likes to run places.
Oh, right. This is where Wesley gets in trouble.
Wesley gets in trouble.
Oh, is that the one where he goes tripping into the garden?
Yes.
Yeah.
Trying to play baseball, of all things.
And they have all the
That sounds like baseball.
Daisies and
massages
pansies are
happening.
delicates.
Massages are happening, and
He's very into the planet until they want to kill him. So it's I remember that episode quite a bit. I'm looking forward to reviewing that episode. And guess what? You both are back next week for that.
Oh,
So
okay.
Cool.
So, well, at least that's the plan at the moment. So,
Hopefully, I don't step on a plant and get arrested.
it's a baby deer trying to walk. Is that what this episode was?
No, that's what he's talking about with justice. You know,
Oh, okay. That's the baby deer. Okay.
Wesley's the baby deer. It's
He's
so
the baby
true.
deer trying to walk. Let him walk. And save the true meaning of Christmas, just like Rudolph did. Anyway, not to reference about a girl again, Murphy. I know it's a trigger for you. So
It's quite all right. You know what though? I want to point out. I'm not gonna make any spoilers, but there's a reference in this episode, the newest season of Prodigy.
a reference to what?
In this episode of TNG, that's in the newest season of Prodigy. I'm not
The episode we just watched, or the one we're
the
about
episode
to watch?
of TNG that we just reviewed, this one, The Lonely Among Us, there's a reference specifically in this episode in the new season of Prodigy.
How did they like? We need to go back.
Aliens. It's got to be the aliens.
Is it the cloud itself? Is that guy back?
I shan't spoil it until
All right.
our reviews come to light.
Okay. Well,
Coming
speaking
up
of which,
Thursday.
Speaking of which, Thursday I am reviewing the first 5 episodes of Star Trek Prodigy with Davin and Jessica, and you're welcome to join us too, Chris. I know you're a big fan of the show. But that was the trio that we were doing the first season together, and we'll be back. So because this whole season's dropping together, we decided to break up our review into 4 installments, covering 5 episodes each. So that will be the next month or so, starting Thursday. So check that out. Of course, we're doing our Orville rewatch right now, which is every Monday night. Just did one last night. We'll be back in a week to do the next one. And I think the next episode is Krill that we're doing. And then on Friday, we have a Debate 9 coming up here. I'm going to be debating Pugsley and Heather in a 3, and with Davin hosting Friday night, some Star Trek debates will be happening.
Have you ever debated Pugsley before?
No, I don't think directly.
Yeah, he'll get out his like ancient Greek mythology and philosophy. Look out, Dave.
I may have met my intellectual match, but the thing is, he can't win the rounds he's not in. So I'm going to.
Well, you speaking of debate, there's actually going to be a trivial debates at the end of this month. Star Trek themed trivial debates where Dave Mader is going to be hosting, and Dave Puxley is going to be one of the contestants.
Okay.
And so is Trek Trav, the Australian content creator, and Sean Farrick from Trek Culture.
That's going to be good. We've got some good minds there, I think.
So you're going to have to whip up some real good trivial debate questions.
I'll keep them straightforward, I think, but that's it. That will be fun. I'm looking forward to that. So check out all of our great content here on Live Long and Podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe. Check out our other shows in the United Federation of Podcasts, which we will plug here at the end. And I think, what else? Is there anything else to say? If not, I think we can probably.
I've got one thing to say. I went over the weekend. I watched Space Rhapsody again from Strange New Worlds, and I enjoyed it the second time much better. I have to say. Maybe it was because I was rushing to watch ahead of one of our shows, but yeah, I quite enjoyed it.
Right on. Well, go check that out, everybody. Space Rhapsody. And with that, we'll leave you with the Great Detectives Credo for tonight, and we'll see you all next time here for Justice here on the Star Trek Next Generation Review. Thanks to the panel, and we'll see you next time.
I am referring to the Great Detectives Credo, sir. I quote, "We must fall back on the old axiom that when other contingencies fail, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth."
Beam up some Star Trek content with Live Long and Podcast. Tune in to X-Rated, the X-Men animated review show. Artistic interviews with graphic histories. A roundtable movie discussion with Hey, did you see this one? And movie reviews with Hold Up, a movie podcast. And while you're at it, spin a few records with Eamon on Track. Watch us duke it out on trivial debates. And let's chat about TV with the Super Mater Brothers. It's all here on the United Federation of Podcasts.